Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. And great means not that you haven't struggled with your kid, but that you've managed to have at least one laugh today or one smile, right? So we are not our kids' challenges or issues. They are also not their own challenges or issues. So I want you to realize that you can have a great moment. And that's what we're striving for, because parenting is a marathon. Trust me, I know, because I work with all kinds of kids. And so sometimes there's just one ray of sunshine that I can really remember. And so our job is to hang on to that ray of sunshine, right? And it's kind of like Tarzan, it will swing you to the next ray of sunshine. And we're also teaching our kids. We are not our struggles. We're just swinging from one joy to another. Like we'll get through it, we'll figure it out. But that's not where we're going to end and stay. So with that being said, I really wanted to take the opportunity to define tantrums. When you're talking to people, I find that what you're describing, your child's output, their pushback, people use the word tantrum, but tantrum is a multifaceted reaction. So you may be talking about tantrums to a person whose kid rarely has tantrums. So you think you're talking about the same pushback style, but really you're on opposite ends of the spectrum. So I wanted to give you how I define tantrums. So tantrums to me is a child's reaction to surprise. So first, a child is surprised, and generally a tantrum is the cause of displeasure. So there's a shock to the request, right? Total surprise. So, oh no, I don't know how to do this. Therefore, I'm going to, start crying and kicking and screaming. Or I'm surprised. I don't like what you're telling me to do. So I'm going to cry, I'm going to kick, I'm going to scream. Tantrums are, well, I'm not ready to do it yet. I'm surprised you're asking me to do it now. I'm going to push back, cry, kick, scream, etc. Tantrums generally for a typical kid, I know for you will feel like forever, but for a typical kid, they will last maybe a couple seconds, a couple minutes. They tend to be over maybe 10 minutes, if that. They may sulk afterwards. They may roll their eyes. They may not want to talk, but kind of the explosion of it has pretty much ended within 10 minutes. That is for a typical kid. That is for a typical kid. Typical meaning they're not the most mellow kid. They're not the easiest kid, but they're not the hardest kid. They tend to be like, okay, whatever. What's next? Or fine, I'll do it. They can wrap their mind around the surprise. After they've been shocked, they can wrap their mind around the expectation. And there's some type of forward progress. It may not be the best forward progress, but there is. Now, the next level of tantrum, I call meltdowns. Meltdowns for me are the child again encounters a surprise. And again, they go through, I don't want to do this. I don't like to do this, or I don't know how to do this, right? So there's these three different tiers of it. Same with tantrum, except when a kid is having a meltdown, they are then paralyzed by the shock. So they stay stuck in the shock. There is no way of them trying to figure out how to move forward because they are trapped by like this intense adrenaline. So you cannot get forward progress with a meltdown very quickly at all. So most of you who have children like this, you realize 15 minutes in is literally just the beginning of your meltdown. So you know this tantrum is just going to grow exponentially. And there is no way to trick your kid out of it, distract your kid out of it. They are completely disintegrating within this emotion. Meltdowns is what I also like to describe as emotional seizures, because you don't get a sense that your kid is practically thinking through the surprise. It's almost like a blind reaction that they can't control. So meltdowns tend to last, they can last 30, 45 hour and a half. And the difference between tantrums and meltdowns is a tantrum, you as a parent, you can still picture the rest of your day. A meltdown, you completely are at a loss. You don't know how you can proceed, if there's any ability to recover, if you can get back on track. Where a tantrum, you know and believe we're going to get back on track. Like this is a tiny speed bump, right? A meltdown is an exploding volcano. They are very different. But because parents there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of regret. Well, maybe if I would have parented this way, well, maybe if I would have done this, you don't have the clarity to realize some of this reaction is out of your control. This is how your child is processing the world. So I've described tantrums, much short, intense, but shorter. Meltdowns, exponentially more intense, more volatile, and much longer lasting. Both of them can start with a surprise, generally speaking. Remember, a surprise can be, can you use the green marker? It could be, can you give me your sock? It could be, can we go out the door? So remember, these are kid problems. It's not, oh my goodness, we have to jump on a plane in 10 minutes. It's nothing like out of the blue. It's typical things that set these things off. But you can see now that the reactions are completely different in intensity and duration. Lastly, there are flare-ups. So a lot of times people think that kids are reacting in the moment. What I often see is some things are triggered by flare-ups. Flare-ups are a memory of something that was overwhelming for them or hard for them to achieve or hard to be brave about, or it felt like a massive surprise. A flare-up is also attached to a memory of inferiority or a fear. So it doesn't start at 0. Your kid literally goes from 0 to 5, and you literally cannot figure out what just happened. Generally, those are connected to a flare-up. So it's a pattern that your child has created in their mind, but has rarely, if ever, expressed to you. So flare-ups are tricky to coach because you don't necessarily see the beginning surprise. You feel like they come out of nowhere. So that is attached to a past difficulty, a past failure, a past unmanageable surprise that they maybe didn't get coached through. And more than likely, they didn't explain to you. So it doesn't come up in your mind when you're like, what is happening here? So the reason why I wanted to define these 3 separate things is so that you know what you're coaching. You know, each of these calls for a different approach from the adult helping the child. So if you'd like to hear more about this, stay tuned for the next video, and I will explain how to maneuver through, how to coach through these 3 different reactions. Have a great rest of the day. I hope this was helpful and makes you feel not alone and say like, oh, that's what's been happening to my kid. Because remember, there's lots of kids out there like your kid, and they're all magical and wonderful. We just need to coach them in a way that lands. Have a great rest of the day.